In the early months of 2024, law enforcement agencies around the globe were quietly monitoring a web of criminal activity that spanned continents, oceans, and borders, a network so sophisticated that even seasoned investigators admitted it was among the most complex operations they had ever encountered. At the heart of this sprawling criminal enterprise were illicit drug syndicates, trafficking organizations, and clandestine laboratories producing massive quantities of narcotics, synthetic chemicals, and explosives, all designed to fuel global markets. Interpol, recognizing the threat posed by these international networks, initiated a coordinated strike known as Operation Lionfish Hurricane, a meticulously planned effort to dismantle the criminal infrastructure in one sweeping action. Over several weeks, teams in 31 countries prepared to move simultaneously, combining intelligence from customs agencies, anti-narcotics units, financial crime specialists, and cybercrime divisions. The operation was unprecedented in scale. 206 individuals would ultimately be arrested, and authorities would seize over 615 tons of drugs and precursor chemicals, valued at more than $1.6 billion. The planning phase alone required months of surveillance, analysis of shipping routes, and tracing complex financial transactions that funneled money from the sale of drugs to hidden accounts across Europe, Asia, the Americas, and Africa. Investigators studied satellite imagery of suspected labs, monitored encrypted communications, and deployed undercover operatives to infiltrate portions of the networks. It quickly became apparent that these criminal syndicates were using an astonishing array of methods to transport narcotics, from commercial shipping containers to unregistered cargo vessels, even employing submersible narcosubs to evade detection. Each shipment intercepted had the potential to prevent millions of dollars worth of drugs from flooding communities, averting untold harm to countless lives. When the day of execution arrived, the operation unfolded with cinematic precision. In Europe, raids hit hidden labs producing methamphetamine and fentanyl, with law enforcement officers discovering industrial-scale equipment and stockpiles of precursor chemicals sufficient to produce hundreds of thousands of lethal doses. In Latin America, simultaneous strikes dismantled cocaine processing facilities, seizing tons of processed cocaine, awaiting shipment. Authorities documented the careful choreography. One misstep could compromise the operation, yet each team executed their role flawlessly, neutralizing threats while prioritizing safety. Surveillance footage captured masked operatives moving silently through warehouses, evidence meticulously cataloged, and transport vehicles immobilized before contraband could be moved. The human element of the operation added to the tension. Agents recalled moments when suspects attempted to flee through side doors or underground passages, creating scenes reminiscent of high-stakes action movies. Yet each escape was anticipated through detailed intelligence and contingency planning. The arrests themselves revealed a cross-section of the criminal world. Kingpins orchestrating shipments from high-rise offices, logistics coordinators managing complex supply chains, and street-level distributors facilitating global transactions. The level of coordination among criminals mirrored, in some ways, the precision of the law enforcement teams attempting to dismantle them. Meanwhile, the seizures themselves were staggering. In total, authorities recovered over 615 tons of illicit substances, including cocaine, methamphetamine, synthetic drugs, and precursor chemicals for manufacturing additional narcotics. They also seized thousands of commercial-grade detonators, signaling a terrifying potential for these networks to engage not only in drug trafficking, but also in the production of explosives and other violent crimes. Each seizure was a story in itself. Massive containers hidden in plain sight, rooms packed with barrels of chemicals, vehicles modified to conceal contraband, all pointing to the ingenuity and audacity of the criminal enterprises. Investigators emphasized that the operation was indeed simply about removing drugs from the market but dismantling the infrastructure that allowed these networks to operate with impunity across borders. Interpol's coordination was central to the operation's success, liaising between countries that often had divergent legal systems, law enforcement philosophies, and operational capacities. Interpol provided a framework for intelligence sharing, cross-border warrants, and joint operations. Analysts sifted through mountains of data to ensure that no critical detail was overlooked. When arrests were made, evidence was meticulously documented to withstand scrutiny in international courts, reflecting the precision required when dealing with transnational crime. The case exemplified the modern approach to policing organized crime, blending traditional investigative techniques with cutting-edge technology, forensic science, and intelligence analysis. The global scale of Operation Lionfish Hurricane also highlighted the reach and influence of organized crime in the 21st century. Trafficking routes spanned oceans, roads, and airways, involving legitimate businesses as covers for illicit activities. Investigators uncovered elaborate money laundering schemes, shell companies, and offshore accounts used to obscure financial flows, demonstrating the sophistication of criminal financial networks. Cybercrime units played a critical role, monitoring encrypted messaging platforms used to coordinate shipments, often discovering coded language and tradecraft that required experts to decode. Despite the complexity, the operation achieved remarkable results. Hundreds of arrests neutralized key nodes in the trafficking networks. Massive drug and chemical seizures disrupted the global supply chain, creating a ripple effect felt in cities and communities thousands of miles away. Law enforcement hailed the operation as a triumph of collaboration, planning, and persistence, while criminal networks were left scrambling to understand how a single coordinated strike could reach so deeply into their operations. Yet the story was not purely about numbers and seizures. Human interest stories emerged from the investigation, illustrating the stakes and risks faced by those battling organized crime. In Colombia, local officers described navigating booby-trapped labs to secure evidence safely. In Europe, undercover agents recounted infiltrating meetings with high-level traffickers under constant threat of discovery. The dedication of law enforcement officials, often working months away from their families and in dangerous conditions, added a layer of human drama to the unfolding operation. For audiences, the scale, drama, and stakes of Operation Lionfish Hurricane offer a narrative as gripping as any scripted thriller. From the first moments of surveillance to the last arrest, the operation demonstrated the intersection of intelligence, courage, and strategy required to confront criminal networks capable of operating across continents. The arrests, seizures, and uncovering of secret labs painted a vivid picture of the global fight against drugs, revealing both the ingenuity of criminals and the unwavering resolve of those working to stop them. The ripple effects of the operation continued long after the final arrest. Law enforcement agencies used the intelligence gained to track additional criminal networks, anticipate future trafficking attempts, and refine strategies for international collaboration. Analysts noted that operations of this scale not only remove illegal substances from circulation but also serve as a deterrent, signaling that criminal enterprises cannot act with impunity. Furthermore, by publicly documenting the scope and results of the operation, Interpol and national agencies provided transparency and accountability, reinforcing public confidence in global law enforcement capabilities. Operation Lionfish Hurricane also highlighted the importance of forensic science in combating transnational crime. Every seized shipment underwent rigorous testing to identify chemical compositions, origins, and potential links to other operations. Fingerprints, DNA, and digital footprints were meticulously cataloged, linking suspects to criminal activities and ensuring prosecutions could withstand legal scrutiny. Analysts emphasized that these methods, combined with real-time intelligence and international cooperation, represent the future of effective organized crime disruption. As the world watched, media coverage emphasized both the scale of the operation and the human stakes involved. Stories circulated about communities impacted by drug trade, the dangers posed by precursor chemicals, and the lengths criminals would go to maintain profits. Yet the overarching narrative remained one of triumph. Through planning, coordination, and relentless dedication, law enforcement successfully dismantled a global criminal enterprise in an operation that would be remembered for years to come. Following the dramatic raids and seizures of Operation Lionfish Hurricane, the world began to grasp the full magnitude of the operation. The 206 arrests spanned every corner of the globe, from major metropolitan hubs in Europe and the Americas to remote regions in Asia and Africa, each location representing a critical node in an international criminal network. Law enforcement agencies worked tirelessly to process suspects, interrogate key figures, and dismantle the remaining operational chains that allowed the illicit trade to flourish. These arrests revealed startling insights into the organizational structure of the syndicates, which mirrored multinational corporations in their hierarchy, operational logistics, and financial sophistication. At the top were the kingpins, individuals controlling supply chains, trafficking routes, and distribution networks, while layers of intermediaries, transporters, and local operatives ensured the smooth movement of narcotics, chemicals, and illicit materials. Investigators discovered that many of these networks relied heavily on technology, encrypted communications, and shell companies to evade detection, which made Interpol's coordination vital in tracing operations across multiple jurisdictions. In the immediate aftermath, law enforcement and intelligence analysts sifted through tons of seized evidence. Each kilogram of narcotics, barrel of precursor chemicals, and recovered detonator told a story of scale, audacity, and criminal ingenuity. Forensic labs tested substances, confirming their composition and purity, which was essential for both prosecutorial evidence and understanding the market impact. Digital evidence was equally crucial. Servers, encrypted devices, and communication logs were painstakingly decrypted, revealing conversations, shipment plans, and coordination efforts between continents. Analysts noted that the operation exposed an astonishing level of planning by criminal organizations, including contingency strategies in case shipments were intercepted or members arrested. The arrests themselves became focal points of both international news and internal law enforcement debriefs. In Europe, key suspects were apprehended in high-security raids that involved tactical units storming apartment complexes and warehouses simultaneously. In South America, coordinated strikes captured mid-level operators in coca-growing regions, interrupting the pipeline of raw materials entering global supply chains. Agents recounted tense moments where suspects resisted, attempted escape, or destroyed evidence, adding an element of suspense reminiscent of high-stakes cinematic sequences. Every arrest was carefully documented, photographed, and linked to the broader network to ensure that prosecutions could be pursued efficiently across national boundaries. Meanwhile, financial crime units traced the flow of illicit funds, revealing how billions of dollars moved through cryptocurrency wallets, offshore accounts, and shell companies. This financial analysis not only strengthened the prosecutorial case, but also highlighted the sophistication of global crime syndicates, showing how they reinvested profits to expand operations and evade law enforcement detection. Analysts emphasized that disrupting financial networks was as critical as seizing drugs and chemicals, as it prevented the networks from quickly rebuilding after the arrests. Global media coverage amplified the operation's significance. News outlets displayed images of seized drugs, confiscated vehicles, and clandestine laboratories, emphasizing the scale and reach of organized crime. Headlines ranged from Interpol dismantles $1.6 billion drug empire to Operation Lionfish Hurricane, the strike that shocked the world, creating a narrative of triumph for law enforcement and cautionary tales about the pervasive reach of international crime networks. Public interest surged as viewers tried to comprehend the enormity of the operation. While social media shared arrest footage, maps of trafficking routes, and infographics of seized substances, ensuring that awareness of the crime and the law enforcement response went viral. The human impact of the operation was both sobering and complex. In many affected communities, investigators found that local populations had been unknowingly supporting or at least tolerating aspects of the networks, from employment in transport and logistics to reliance on the availability of drugs. Rehabilitation programs, outreach efforts, and educational campaigns became part of the law enforcement and public response, aimed at addressing the systemic vulnerabilities that allowed these criminal enterprises to thrive. Analysts pointed out that breaking the criminal networks was only part of the solution. Rebuilding communities, preventing addiction, and addressing poverty and corruption were equally critical in ensuring long-term disruption. One of the most shocking discoveries was the scale of precursor chemicals and explosive materials recovered during the operation. Thousands of commercial-grade detonators were seized alongside chemical components capable of producing illegal drugs. Forensic experts emphasized that these discoveries highlighted the dual nature of organized crime in the 21st century. Trafficking was not only about financial gain, but also presented a potential threat to public safety through violence and chemical misuse. These findings fueled further collaboration between chemical regulatory agencies, anti-terror units, and national governments to prevent similar threats in the future. Trials and prosecutions became a second wave of operation activity, coordinating international law enforcement evidence in courtrooms across continents required meticulous legal planning. Prosecutors presented an array of evidence: physical contraband, forensic reports, financial records, digital communications, and expert testimony that painted a comprehensive picture of criminal operations. Defense attorneys attempted to challenge jurisdiction, question forensic accuracy, and contest the interpretations of digital data. Yet the sheer volume and clarity of evidence, combined with Interpol's coordination, ensured that courts largely upheld the integrity of the investigation. Convictions ranged from long-term prison sentences for kingpins to lighter sentences for minor operators who cooperated with authorities. These trials reinforced the message that organized crime carries consequences worldwide, not just in local jurisdictions. In addition to legal proceedings, the operation provided an invaluable knowledge transfer for law enforcement agencies. Teams shared intelligence about trafficking routes, concealment techniques, and cyber-based communications used by criminal networks. Training modules were updated to reflect lessons learned from Operation Lionfish Hurricane, ensuring that future international operations would benefit from a more robust understanding of organized crime. Analysts emphasized that this type of institutional memory is critical for sustaining the fight against transnational crime, which continually evolves in response to enforcement actions. The long-term effects of the operation are still unfolding. Analysts predict that the disruption caused by Operation Lionfish Hurricane will temporarily weaken global trafficking networks, creating gaps in supply chains that could reduce the availability of certain drugs in affected regions. However, history shows that criminal networks are resilient and adaptive, often seeking new routes, technologies, or alliances to replace lost infrastructure. Interpol and participating nations continue to monitor these developments, maintaining vigilance to prevent resurgence. Perhaps the most compelling narrative to emerge from the operation is the interconnectedness of crime, technology, and society. The investigation revealed not only the logistics of illegal trade, but also the ways in which ordinary communities can be unwittingly drawn into complex criminal ecosystems. Families, small businesses, and even local governments may intersect with illicit networks, highlighting the importance of awareness, regulation, and early intervention. The operation served as both a warning and a blueprint for action, demonstrating that transnational collaboration is the most effective tool against global criminal enterprises. From a cinematic perspective, the story of Operation Lionfish Hurricane is as thrilling as any scripted drama. Coordinated raids across continents, the uncovering of massive secret labs, daring arrests, and the meticulous forensic work combine to create a narrative rich with suspense and intrigue. Viewers are drawn not only to the shocking scale of the operation, but also to the human intelligence, bravery, and expertise required to execute it successfully. The interplay of crime and law enforcement, planning and improvisation, secrecy and exposure, creates a gripping tale that captivates audiences and sustains attention throughout the documentary. Ultimately, Operation Lionfish Hurricane stands as a testament to international cooperation, strategic planning, and unwavering dedication in the fight against organized crime. By combining intelligence, forensic science, tactical operations, and legal rigor, law enforcement agencies successfully disrupted one of the most sophisticated criminal networks in recent history. The arrests, seizures, and prosecutions highlight the global reach of crime, but also demonstrate the capacity of humanity to confront it with determination, precision, and courage. For audiences of true crime documentaries, this operation offers everything that drives engagement: unseen criminal strategies, massive stakes, dramatic action, forensic breakthroughs, and the very real consequences for communities worldwide. It's a story of crime, justice, and resilience, a narrative that resonates with viewers, compels discussion, and encourages binge-watching across multiple segments. Subscribe, Criminalverse, where every crime hides a story.